Are you a hero? Well, you may never know until you have to act like one. Join us as we bring you the top 20 moments where people became superheroes. Number 1. Hero saves a child from an oncoming train in India. In a breathtaking act of bravery that continues to inspire and awe, railway pointsman Mayor Shelk put his life on the line to save a child from an oncoming train in Mumbai, India. On that fateful day at the railway station, as a fast-approaching train hurtled down the tracks, a child fell onto the railway line, sparking a race against time that would highlight Shelk's extraordinary heroism. The scene unfolded rapidly. A visually impaired mother and her young son were on the platform's edge when the boy accidentally slipped onto the tracks. As the oncoming train bore down, panic would ensue. However, Shelk, from his position at the end of the platform, saw the unfolding catastrophe and did not hesitate for a moment. Risking his own life, he ran towards the boy, matching his pace against the rapidly approaching train. As onlookers watched, frozen in dread, he sprinted along the tracks, reaching the child and picking him up, then tossing him onto the platform. With only seconds to spare, he managed to pull himself up before the train sped by. Number 2. Man rushes inside burning house to save his dog. How much do you love your dog? Sometimes it takes a fire to see just how much. A man's love for his dog would lead to him risking his own life and running into a blazing inferno to rescue his furry friend. The heartwarming story of Jose Guzman and his dog Gabbana went viral on social media, inspiring millions of people with their bond and bravery. The incident took place in Pala, California, where the fire broke out in Guzman's home and quickly spread to his neighbor's property. Guzman, who works as a welder, was visiting his grandparents with his family when he received a call from his neighbor who saw the smoke. He then rushed back to his home only to find it engulfed in flames, and he knew that his dog, the 2-year-old blue-nosed pit bull, was still inside. Without hesitation, he then sprinted past the firefighters and ran down his driveway to find her. The video captured by a bystander shows Guzman disappearing into the thick smoke and then emerging moments later with the dog in his arms. He can be seen carrying her to safety and hugging her tightly as they both cough and pant. Number 3. Soccer opponent comes to the rescue of injured player. In a heart-stopping moment during a soccer match in Ukraine, an opponent quickly came to the rescue of a player who had sustained a serious injury. The midfielder did not hesitate to help out the forward from the other team when he saw him lying unconscious on the field, where in the 22nd minute of the game, 2 players would collide while trying to head the ball into the net. The impact would cause one of the players to be knocked out, and he then fell to the ground with his tongue blocking his airway. The midfielder, who was nearby, immediately ran to his side and cleared his airway with his fingers and called for medical assistance, staying with the player until the medics had arrived. That player was then taken to the hospital where he was treated for a concussion and a broken jaw. Number 4. Mother rescues 4 children by throwing them out the window. A mother's quick thinking and courage would save her 4 children from a burning building in Istanbul, Turkey. The woman, whose name was not released, had to resort to throwing her child out of a 3rd-floor window as black smoke would engulf their apartment. The video of the dramatic rescue, which has widely been shared online, shows the mother dropping her children one by one as people on the street below hold out blankets to catch them. The children, aged between 3 and 11, can be seen falling past the window of a bridal shop, narrowly avoiding the awning of another store. The mother's heard screaming and crying as she lets go of her youngest, a 3-year-old girl who is the last to be tossed. The video then cuts to show the children being carried away by paramedics and bystanders. Number 5. Policeman rescues a choking suspect. A state trooper's quick action and calm demeanor would save the life of a choking man who had swallowed a bag of illegal drugs during a traffic stop. The incredible story of Trooper Charles Hoskin and Stefan Elash has been shared by the Ohio State Patrol, who praised Hoskin for his professionalism and compassion. The incident took place in Ravenna, Ohio, where Hoskin had pulled over Elash for speeding and not wearing a seatbelt. Hoskin then noticed that the man was acting strangely and asked him if he was okay. He got out of the car and began to choke. That's when Hoskin realized that he had swallowed something and asked him what it was. He didn't answer but gestured to his throat, and then Hoskin performed the Heimlich maneuver, dislodging a bag of marijuana from his airway. Number 6. Man saves DUI suspect from fire in California. A Good Samaritan's heroic act saved a life after he pulled an allegedly inebriated man from a burning car in Cupertino. The man was on his way to lunch when he saw the black smoke coming from the car and decided to help out. The DUI suspect had crashed his car into a tree, and then it was set on fire. The suspect, whose name was not released, was unconscious and trapped inside of the vehicle. The man, who works as a mechanic at a nearby shop, saw the fire and ran to the scene. He noticed that someone was inside the car and tried to open the door, but it was locked. He then broke the window with his elbow and reached for the seatbelt. The man dragged the suspect to safety and waited for firefighters to arrive. He said he didn't think about the danger or the consequences. He was just acting upon instinct. Number 7. Boy becomes a hero by saving a drowning dog. In this amazing story, a 5-year-old boy saved a German Shepherd pup from drowning in a pool. The boy, who lives in Argentina, would notice that his 2-month-old puppy had fallen into the water and was struggling to swim. He didn't even hesitate to jump into the pool and rescue his furry friend, even though he had just learned to swim himself. A lady would then help them out of the pool and take them inside the house to warm up. The boy's cousin posted a video of his heroic act on TikTok, where it then went viral, receiving almost 500,000 likes, with many commenting and praising the boy's courage and love for his dog. Number 8. Dramatic rescue of a man pinned under a burning car. This is the incredible story of how a group of people saved an elderly man who was trapped inside of a burning car. The man had dropped his cigarette and it had caused a fire inside of his car. He was unable to get out of his seatbelt and was telling people to get some water. The owner of a nearby restaurant would see the flames and ran to help the man. He tried to unhook the seatbelt and put the fire out with a fire extinguisher. Another person had cut the seatbelt off with a knife, and together they would pull the man out of the car and tried to stop his legs from burning. The video of the heroic action was posted on social media, where it received many views and comments praising the people who had risked their lives in order to help out the man. Number 9. Player performs CPR on the referee. In a harrowing incident that took place at a sporting event, a Toledo basketball player would save a referee's life by performing CPR on him after he had collapsed from a heart attack. The player was also a firefighter and had used his training to run towards the emergency and help the referee, who was unconscious on the court. He worked on him for about 10 minutes before paramedics arrived and helped him to regain consciousness. The referee would then be taken to the hospital, receiving a triple bypass surgery to remove a blockage that had caused the heart attack in the first place. The video of the heroic action was shared on social media, where it then received many views and comments praising the courage and skills of the player. The fire department also recognized the player's actions and awarded him with a certificate of appreciation. Number 10. Tavern manager saves tourist from choking. It was a busy night at the Amphoros restaurant in Crete. The picturesque port city was full of tourists and locals enjoying the warm summer breeze and the delicious Greek cuisine. The manager of the restaurant was overseeing the staff. One of the diners was a British tourist named John, who had been visiting the area for the past 2 weeks with his girlfriend Lisa. They had fallen in love with the city and the restaurant, and they came every night to try different dishes and wines. The restaurant's manager had gotten to know them by name and had always reserved their favorite table by the window that overlooked the harbor. Suddenly, he heard a loud gasp and a thud and turned to see John clutching his throat, his face turning red. He had choked on a piece of chicken and was unable to breathe. Lisa was in panic mode, screaming for help and trying to hit John's back, and other customers and staff were shocked and frozen, not knowing what to do. However, the manager did not hesitate. He rushed to John's side and wrapped his arms around him from behind. He remembered his training as a Special Forces officer, where he had learned to perform the Heimlich maneuver. He pressed his fist against John's abdomen and thrust it upward, dislodging the chicken from his airway. John coughed and gasped, breathing once again, and Lisa hugged him and cried in tears of relief. Number 11. Freshman saves friend from choking. Ian Brown had always wanted to be a police officer, He admired his father, who was a detective, and dreamt of following in his footsteps. He joined the Police Explorers program at his local police department, where he then learned about law enforcement and public safety. One of the skills that he had learned was how to perform the Heimlich maneuver, a technique that can save someone's life if they happen to be choking. He had practiced it with his fellow explorers, hoping that he would never have to use it in real life. But one day, he did. He was having lunch at his high school cafeteria with some friends when he noticed that one of them was choking on his food. He saw him turn red and gesture to his neck, indicating that he couldn't breathe. Ian did not hesitate, getting up from his seat and ran to the boy's side, wrapping his arms around him from behind and pressing his fist against his abdomen. He then thrust it upward 4 times until the food had become dislodged from his friend's mouth. Number 12. Man catches child falling off balcony. Maria Sanchez was a single mother of 2 living in Colombia, and she worked hard to provide for her children, who were her world. She loved them more than anything and had always tried to keep them safe and happy. One day, she had to take one of them to the doctor for a routine checkup and left the other one with her grandmother, who lived in the same building. She took him to the elevator, which was on the 4th floor, pressed the button, and waited for the door to open. However, she did not notice that her son, Luis, had wandered away from her, curious and playful. He stumbled forward and fell through the gap, and he was falling from the 4th floor heading towards the ground. Maria heard a loud gasp and a thud and turned around to see Luis falling through the air. She felt a surge of fear and panic. She reacted in a split second, running to the railings and jumping over them, diving after him. She stretched out her arms and caught him by his leg, stopping his fall. She held him tight, saving his life. She looked down and saw how high that they were and felt dizzy and scared, but she never let go of Louise. She screamed for help, hoping that someone would hear her. Someone did. It was a delivery man who had just exited the elevator and saw what was taking place. He ran down the stairs as fast as he could, reaching the 2 of them, and helped them to get back over the railings and brought them to safety. Number 13. Father of the Year leaps into the pool to save a toddler from drowning. Albert Passavante loved his son Rocco more than anything in the world. One of their favorite activities was swimming in their backyard pool, but one day something went wrong. It was a sunny Sunday afternoon, and Albert and Rocco were enjoying the pool. Albert was sitting on a lounge chair by the pool while Rocco was playing with his inflatable ball in the shallow end. Albert checked on him every few moments, smiling and waving, and suddenly he saw something that made his heart stop. Rocco had thrown his ball too far, and it had landed in the deep end. Rocco didn't hesitate, jumping into the water to try and reach his ball. Albert saw his son in trouble and acted in an instant, and he didn't think twice. He never cared about anything else, only about saving his son. Number 14. Soldier rescues kidnapped girl, but doesn't realize he's on a movie set. There was a moment of shock, disbelief, and a touch of hilarity when a well-intentioned Russian soldier, embodying the very essence of bravery, stormed onto a film set, completely convinced that he was diving headfirst into a live hostage situation. The soldier, dedicated to his duties, would charge into what he believed was an ominous and perilous scene unfolding before his very eyes. The scene was an intense one, a woman held at gunpoint, her captor standing with a malicious aura, poised with a look of ferocity. To any common bystander, it would have appeared to be a chilling sight. Our intrepid soldier was no exception. His instincts kicked in, and without a moment's hesitation, he leapt into action. Stealthily, he approached the attacker from behind, his heart pounding, adrenaline surging through his veins, and with a swift and practiced move, he brought the attacker to the ground, pinning him under his muscular build. Number 15. Immigrant in France climbs building to save a child. The essence of heroism was personified in Paris when a young West African migrant from Mali performed an extraordinary act of bravery that was both remarkable and inspiring. In a heart-pounding moment, he scaled a building to save a boy who was perilously hanging from a 4th-floor balcony, a spectacle that left viewers around the globe in awe. His impressive act of valor would be caught on video and rapidly went viral on social media. He reached the child and pulled him to safety in less than a minute, and by the time that emergency services had arrived, his courageous actions had already ensured the child's safety. His audacious actions had earned him an invitation to the presidential palace, where he then met the French president and also shared his wishes with the mayor, expressing his desires to stay in France. The mayor had praised his heroism and expressed Paris's support in his efforts to settle in the country. Number 16. Man catches falling baby in China. In an electrifying moment of real-life heroism, in China, Shen Dong, a 31-year-old man, performed an act of pure instinct and bravery that would capture the hearts of millions. His quick thinking and selfless action would save a little girl from a life-threatening fall, making him an instant superhero. Shen was merely parking his car on the street when he heard a startling thud. A toddler had fallen onto a steel roof from a block of flats and then perilously toppled over the edge of the first-floor ledge. The sight that unfolded next was the stuff of nightmares, the tiny figure plunging toward the unforgiving concrete pavement below. As he frantically dialed emergency services, his instincts would kick in. Casting aside his phone, he darted towards the falling child and caught her just before she hit the ground. Number 17. Woman having a seizure in a pool, saved by quick-thinking son. A 10-year-old boy named Gavin had saved his mother from drowning in their backyard pool after she suffered from a seizure. The amazing story of Gavin and his mother Lori has gone viral on social media, inspiring millions of people with their bond of heroism. The incident took place in Oklahoma, where Gavin and Lori were enjoying a swim in their pool. Lori, who suffers from epilepsy, had suddenly had a seizure and began to convulse in the water. She lost consciousness and began to sink to the bottom of the pool. Gavin, who was nearby, did not hesitate to jump into the water and swim to his mother, reaching her and lifting her chin above the water so that she could breathe. A video captured by the family's security camera shows Gavin struggling to keep his mother afloat as black smoke fills the air. He stayed with his mother until his grandfather, who lives next door, had heard the dogs barking and then ran out to help. Number 18. Brave nanny rescues child from collapsing roof just in time. In an extraordinary act of courage and quick thinking, a Filipino nanny in Kuwait became an overnight sensation, not only in her homeland but worldwide, because she had risked her own life to save a child from a collapsing ceiling. The riveting story of bravery and selflessness embodies the nanny's heroic spirit and her profound dedication to the child under her care. The incident unfolded in a seemingly ordinary household in Kuwait. Without any prior warning, the ceiling of the home began to crumble, threatening to collapse on the child. However, the nanny, who was in the same room, had noticed the impending danger and sprang into action with lightning speed. Ignoring the risk to her own life, she then scooped up the child and dashed out of the room just as the ceiling had come crashing down. Her swift and decisive actions had saved the child from what could have been a grave tragedy. Number 19. Firefighters rescue woman dangling from a 16th floor window. In an act of extraordinary valor and skill, brave firefighters in New York City would pull off a nail-biting rescue operation that had onlookers holding their breath and left the city hailing their bravery. The heroes in question would be faced with an almost impossible task. A woman was found dangling perilously from a 16th floor window of a high-rise building. It was an ordinary day in the bustling city of New York when the emergency call came through. Without wasting a moment's time, the firefighters then sprang into action, rushing to the scene where the woman was clinging to the side of the building 16 stories up. Faced with the daunting task of rescuing the woman without causing her to fall, the firefighters had to think quickly on their feet, and after assessing the situation, they then decided to use a high-risk method, one that would require extreme precision, perfect coordination, and unwavering bravery. With a crowd gathered below, the firefighters executed their daring plan. One of them descended from the roof of the building, suspended on a harness, inching closer to the woman with each passing moment. The tension was palpable as he reached out to her, securing her in his arms, and then expertly attached her to his harness. With their fellow firefighter and the woman secured, the team on the roof then began the careful ascent, finally bringing them both to safety. Number 20. Brave hero rescues mother and two girls from raging fire. A hero neighbor would save a mother and her two daughters from a raging fire that was about to destroy their home in Arizona. The dramatic rescue would be caught on camera by a Ring doorbell device. The video shows the neighbor, who has not been identified, banging on the door and shouting "Fire, fire" to alert the family. He then helped them to escape through the garage as flames and smoke engulfed the house next door. The mother and her daughters were asleep when the fire began and had no idea of the danger that they were in. They thanked the neighbor for his quick actions and bravery, and the fire department arrived shortly afterwards, managing to contain the fire before it spread further. No one was injured in the incident, but both homes would suffer some extensive damage in the process. That's all for these moments where people became superheroes. Have you ever become a superhero yourself or witnessed someone who has? Let me know about it in the comments below. Leave a like on this video and subscribe for more content like it in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.